I'm Brian V, and this is Why We Work. Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Nikita Chernin. He is the founder and CEO of 360 Creativity. I was intrigued by this gentleman because of his age. I've heard a couple of his interviews online. He has reached out to be interviewed, and I couldn't say no. I thought of all of the interviews I've done thus far, this gentleman has his head screwed on seemingly correctly. And I'd like to find out more about him and what his drive is at such a young age with this 360 creativity. So join me in my interview today with Nikita Chernin. I'm Brian V, and this is Why We Work. Today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Nikita Chernin. Good evening, young man.
Hello. Hello, Brian.
Good day. Now, I didn't ask you this, but I am going to ask because I am so curious. You had reached out through podcast guests, and I don't say that to say that you did this, but I didn't go out specifically looking for you. But when I saw of the people who wanted to be on my podcast, you stuck out as I think probably of the, you know, 50 or 60 people that replied, of like the top five, I would at least say, but I highlighted you first as being like this person's interesting. And the reason, and I could be completely wrong, is because you seem so young and your drive to get on a podcast and you have websites and all that stuff and would like to get into. But how old are you, young man?
Well, I'm only 16, so
You're
mm,
good for you. Good for you. I think you might even be the youngest person I've had on here. My cousin, she just graduated from high school. I think she was the youngest up until you. So, I mean, some people look young. And I didn't want to assume maybe you were like 25 or something, and I was just way off base. Can you, Nikita, give just a little brief introduction? I did already an introduction to you, but just a little bit about yourself. And then, as I like to say to people, I want to take you back. So,
well, there's not that far back to go,
yeah,
so
you're right. You're right.
I'm pretty lucky compared to some other people. So my name's Nikita Chernin. I'm in New York. I have a company. It's actually right behind me. Our logo, 360 Creativity, and that's kind of the biggest thing about me.
Oh, you're humble too, because I'm sure there's lots of things about you, whether you're guardians or parents, someone would say there's more to you than 360 creativity. So Nikita, you're right. So I would get people to introduce themselves. They're going to tell me about their company or where they're working, and then I say, take you back. But the best part about you, I think, is you are back there. You know, you are 16. So most people, what is the legal working age in the US? I mean, it might even vary from state to state, but it's close to.
Well, I know personally New York, so our legal working age is like 14 for not dangerous jobs, and then they have like dangerous jobs which they consider like mining and working with chemicals and stuff like that, and that's 16.
Okay.
So
That's pretty,
those are
mining
the
and chemicals and stuff. Um, so this is great because you, in my limited knowledge of you and the podcast that I heard you on before, you really have some things set up. You have a forward-looking approach about your life, and I'm not saying. I mean, if
yeah.
you were a little bit humble a moment ago, you might even say, you know, you might like to play games and you like to act child. I'm 40 something and I'm childish at times, so I'm not going to say that you have everything lined up and put the pressure on you. But comparing yourself to me at say 16, you're doing pretty well for yourself, young man, and I commend you for that. But thinking, I guess my question, if you have it, what was your very first job? What was the very first thing that you did? And it may have been, a lemonade stand. It might have been, starting your YouTube channel or some sort of thing. What was your first thing that you did that maybe earned you $1?
Well, I think the first thing and like biggest thing that I remember myself doing are these. We live in a very like big community of like people, and they all like to have these big like birthday parties and stuff like that. And I used to when I was younger do like magic shows, and I think that was like the very first
Okay,
thing.
when you say younger, I do smile, but how old were you then?
Probably about like 10.
So at 10 years old, so okay, then when did the magic?
Not anything impressive, no. Like,
No,
I
no, it's
mean,
perfectly wonderful. No, no,
yeah.
no. I'm just wondering when the magic started. When did you start practicing and dabbling in magic and
Mm.
sleight of hand?
Well, that's very interesting because I know that like I like to consider myself as a big theatrical person. I like performing and doing stuff like that. Um, so personally for me, in terms of like doing magic, I didn't start that long before I started doing these magic shows, maybe about a year
Okay.
before. But it's just that like acting and all of that kind of
Yeah.
goes along with it. So
Okay. So you start, what was the reasoning? You just saw there was a good opportunity with these birthday parties and parties at the age of 10 to showcase your talent or showcase yourself, maybe more in lines of what you were hoping to do. And were they offering
um
you money with this as well?
so I did several of them. So some of
Okay.
them were for money and some of them were just for fun. But basically, I know that a friend of mine had a younger sister, and he knew that I was doing magic and knew very little about it. So I came and I did some things from there, and then from the other parents and stuff from the show, you kind of they were like, "Oh, we like you. Can you come to do this and do that and all of that?"
So the number of magic shows you've done, was there anything else up until 16 that you did besides 360 Creativity?
Yeah, definitely. I used to work at this company that we did science shows, and the whole idea behind is like teaching science through like just fun shows. So we did like stuff with liquid nitrogen and like blowing stuff up and stuff like that. And I was doing that basically all over New York City, and I also helped with their like social media accounts and stuff like that.
Okay, is there anything else? Because I have a big question for you. But so you're magic and doing things with science, which I think is amazing. Anything else before starting the company? I mean, I guess when did 360 start? So it's not at 16, probably you're looking at 15, 14.
No, you're looking at September of 2020. So not too long ago, just in September.
Mm-hmm.
September, I could tell you 14th.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking by saying 15, 14, but I meant in your age of, but only this year you started it. So was there
Yeah,
anything
just in September.
anything after science, working with science and doing some demonstration?
Um, Not for money,
Not for money. Okay.
but
So
like,
I mean, Nikita, you have more experience than a lot of people any age, right? Like you're starting, like it's really amazing to me for, and that's why I like to be able to ask you about it, because you're still in the around the same mind frame. You're not too far removed. You can remember things better than someone who is 30, 40 looking back to when they were a teenager. It's just it's a shorter period of time. What is the drive that you have? I mean, is it your family? Is it something that you've seen or experienced to get out and to do shows? You see a niche, and you were brave enough with little experience to do a magic show when you only been doing magic a little while, to do a show in front of a bunch of kids who are, for birthday parties, are not that far removed from you if you're doing it at 10, right? Because they're not one, or maybe
yeah,
two, but they're not that much younger than you, and they could have been the same age in one or
yeah.
two of the parties. But then doing shows all around New York for your science shows, and at the age of 16 starting a company in the middle of a pandemic in 2020. So I mean, a lot of kids are not doing that. Young men are not doing that. What is your drive? What's getting you, what's pushing you or what's pulling you?
I mean, the idea that like you could inspire people through your work is really a big thing. I know that like personally living in New York City, we have all of these big like theatrical stuff. We have Broadway right here. We have a bunch of just New York City's a big city, so we have a lot of theatrical
But
stuff going on.
Nikita, are you experiencing that stuff? Like knowing that it's around, right? Knowing that you live in New York is different than experiencing it. So are you having that ability? Is someone showing you this? Like you can't just go buy a ticket off the money you're getting from a magic show. So just knowing those things is different than experiencing it and having some traction into the reason why you're so motivated.
Well, definitely. So, like, through my family, I've gotten the chance to see a lot of these things, and I see that, like this one person up on this stage, these 10 people up on this stage are influencing and inspiring these 100, sometimes 1,000 people that are watching them
Mm-hmm.
in the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, if they can do it and they're not scared, then what do I have to lose? These people are professionals. These people do this for a living. I think I'm doing this for fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that much to lose. These people have basically their whole lives at stake. This is what they do. Me, 10 years old, I don't have that much to lose.
I mean, I guess a lot of people could have that attitude, which, some people can get themselves in trouble and say, "Psh, I ain't got nothing to lose. So what does it matter?" But yours is on the positive spectrum of, I should try this because what do I have to lose? And I think that's
Yeah.
a very rare commodity for people to think that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't talk to enough teenagers or talk to enough people that may think like that. How is it that you're able? Is this really particularly your family? Is anyone telling you? Is anyone, a close relative? Just besides seeing people on stage and your own desire, is there someone? I heard you in an interview talking about a mentor. Do you have a mentor and someone that's helping you out?
I have someone that's helping me out in terms of like more of the business standpoint, but in terms of like the personal standpoint, Uh, I just have some friends and stuff like that that are kind of super creative and just inspire me to keep working. I know that personally I like doing theater, so I've done several shows, and
Yeah.
I have in common I have this director that does most of these shows with me, and her name is Sam, and she is very inspiring, and she just kind of like motivates you to do what you want to do and keep doing it. And these are professionals, and I know that it's like I'm not getting this advice from someone off the street. I'm getting
Yeah.
this advice from some certified person. They have my back. They're not out there to watch me fail.
Very good. Where are you at in school at 16? Are you grade 10, 11?
High school, so grade 10 right now.
Grade 10 right now. And are you doing that all online now? Is that how New York is working?
Well, yeah, so we are all online right now. So we went hybrid for part of the year, and now we're just all online.
In New York, do you have high school starting at grade 10 or is it a little bit earlier?
So high school starts at grade 9 in New York.
Okay.
For like public high school, if you go to Catholic and stuff like that, they changed it up a little bit.
Well, I guess were you in a physical location last year in grade 9 or was that still part of your COVID experience?
Well, I was part of the year, and then around March we switched over to fully remote until September, where we kind of went to the building up until like the last 2 weeks of November, and then we started completely going online because we've gotten a lot more COVID cases in schools and just all over the city in general.
So I really do want to get into your company, but I want for people who are younger and even people who are older that have younger children or just to reflect on their own life, where are you in your idea of your own personal education in, being in grade 10, being 16 years old, you have a future ahead of you. What's going on in your head? I know you have a company, but where do you feel that you are in school? What are some aspirations you have for the next few years or maybe into college?
Honestly, I feel that no matter what I'm doing with my company, my education is kind of really important because you never know what's going to happen with this. But something like your education, it's like whatever you could learn, it's not going to be a extra weight on you. It's just going to it's just going to make you smarter, make you know more, and just be a better person in general. I feel that personally, I do very well in school, and I'm lucky to be able to, if I have any questions, ask people around me with that, with in terms of school and stuff like that. Because like I'm doing chemistry, and I have my two grandparents in Wisconsin that are chemists professionally. So it's like these things that
You have a
it's
good
like,
resource.
yeah. So people behind you is kind of really important.
Do you find, and this is not, I have no idea about the New York school system or whatever particular school system. Are you in the public school system? Or are you in a private
I'm
school
in the
system?
public school system, yeah.
I don't know how good it is, and this wouldn't be a knock either way on it, but are you finding that in your education, how are you getting for me growing up, I felt either I had my hands on my ears and not listening to why education is important. Are you getting that from your teachers or even from students as well? Or are within your own drive and what I'm seeing from you now is you're getting that answer of why, or is that even an important question to you? Like, why get an education? Why is this important? Or how are some of these subjects interrelated or connected and they're all important for you? Is that being answered for you, or is that something you're getting answered on your own, or do you even care? You're just pursuing your own goals?
Honestly, I think that that's a question that I hear come up a lot. We live in New York, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, we have all these other opportunities. We don't have to necessarily go learn specifically like math or chemistry or whatever."
Hmm.
And um, but I feel that it's important, and the people around me, like students and stuff like that. I'm in an honors program at like a really good school, so so I just know that the people that I like talk to in general all have the same ideas as me, and I think that's really important because if you are surrounded by negative people and people that have negative ideas, that's not really stimulating to you. But when you have people that are always trying to get better at this and are positive influences in your life, I think that's really good.
Do you feel, Nikita, I mean, it's hard to compare one generation to another, but what sort of pressures do you have as a high school student? I mean, you're kind of in the middle there from grade 9 to grade 10. And with social media and stuff, and you with a company and you're online and you have a presence, is there a pressure within, say, your own classroom or the school or just being a student online, right? Because there's a different pressure that comes
Yeah.
there. Is there any pressures there that we would do better as a different generation to understand your plight or understand some difficulties that you might go through, or some pleasures that you get out of being in this sort of situation in this
Well, I
time?
mean, kind of like the biggest thing starting, so I basically started my company in September, like we talked about, but it's like I come back to school and like I see these people around me have done a lot of stuff, but it's like the idea of like why did you start it? And like the pressure of like, oh, you're not gonna do good, or like, oh,
Hmm.
maybe it wasn't like the right thing, or like I know that personally talk to some teachers, it's like older generations I think see it as maybe not useful at this age to start something like this because it's like, oh, you're not getting the proper education, or you're
Hmm.
not like continuing your education or whatever. But I feel that like personally for me none of those are true because I've been keeping a healthy balance in between this and my education and all of that. But I think that some people might not see it as a healthy balance because everything is subjective. What might be a healthy balance for you might not be a healthy balance for someone else.
Is there a pressure among students? I know you'll have naysayers, but is there a pressure to be something on the internet, to have a social presence, to have this many followers, to have this many likes? Is that a common thing? Because, not many generations ago, this did not exist. But now it's at the forefront where just the other day, after the Tyson Jones fight, prior to it, the guys that are YouTube stars starting to fight. So, and this is even bigger. Probably they made more money than what the Jones and Tyson fight made. And this is a real thing where people, promotion and all that stuff, you can promote yourself as much as you want. So within a younger generation or in, people your age, is there a pressure to be a presence, to do something, whether good or bad?
Well, that's a really good question because I know that around me, I don't see that much, but I know it exists because
Hmm.
around me, I see more of the idea of like I'm in a position where I'm in like honors school with honors and there's like classes and all that. So it's more about not necessarily social media and things like that, but more about like oh, I made a computer program, who can make it better than me or something like that. It's more of like a competitive thing. We're more
Yeah.
focused on something like that versus something that's just like, oh, how many social media followers do we have? Because we see it, I mean, at least I see it as not really consequential in like personal stuff. I see it like I have a I have my own Instagram account and I have an Instagram account for my company and a bunch
Hmm.
of social media accounts for my company. I mean, and I see that for my company as important, but personally for me, I don't really focus on mine. I look at some stuff, I post some stuff, but I don't care. I don't like compare myself to other people.
I think that's interesting. It makes me wonder, maybe you can pull it out a little bit better. I wonder if by being so young and having your own company and having a presence on the internet or on social media through your company allows you, because the work that it takes. You know that, there's a lot of work to put your stuff out there day in and day out, and then to want to throw yourself also on social media, where some, as you kind of mentioned, that of the pressure, but people do throw themselves up out there, and people do want the likes, and people do want the followers. And if they don't have a product, they're their own product, then they may feel a bigger sense of pressure, especially when it's not a viable product. It's just like, how many friends do I have? How many followers do I have? And if they don't have a company like you or something that, it's external to them, right? It's more an objective sort of product that they have, that they feel a little bit more pressure. So if someone doesn't like them, it gets closer into the heart. And do you know what I'm saying? And how could you
Yeah.
better elaborate on that?
Well, definitely, you're right because I know personally I have some friends and stuff that are they're like that. They really think that it's something super important, and in a sense, it is up until a while, up until like a certain point. It's important when you could to show that you're popular and all of that, but is it going to translate to anything personally in your life?
Hmm.
You're not you're not making anything out of this. I get if you are some kind of influencer or something like that, but many of these people are just people off the street. I mean, anyone with a phone or anyone with internet access basically could create an Instagram account, Facebook account, Twitter account. There's millions of social media platforms. So I feel that it's important for like personal reasons, but in the grand scheme of things, you're not going to be able to show this to anyone and say you're not going to be able to put this on your resume. You're not going to be able to use this in any way. It's just going to be like okay, here I have this, I have all these friends and everything, but what is it translating to?
I wonder if, I mean, maybe as an honors school, or, and there's definitely schools that are doing this, but some sort of course within, maybe even starting, I don't know, elementary school, but middle school, having students create a product and put it on social media, and having them throughout the year, what, however it is, it could be someone else's product that they're promoting, but just understanding, getting the idea off of them that the likes and the followers are, it's not about them, but it's about the product, and seeing the hard work it takes, it may lessen the desire to need that following, but just showing how difficult it is for the product that they're doing, so they can be one off from the thing that they're working on. I think it would be an interesting
Well, there's actually kind of like what you're saying. There's actually two things that come to mind with like programs that we have.
idea.
So I know in my younger brothers, I have several of them. So in their
How many brothers do you
school,
have, or how many are in your
I
family?
have three younger brothers.
Okay.
So, and I know in their elementary school they have this program where they like design a product and they sell it and they have like a little fair.
Yeah.
So, but that's like an after school activity.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I know that like so my school's organized in different like sections. So we have a business section, law, science, and engineering and things like that, theater and stuff. So in the business section, they have this class called virtual enterprise where they basically build a company and they compete against other people all over the world to like make the most virtual money in this competition of sorts.
Mhm.
So those people are definitely getting that.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, I don't know that many people that have this program.
Yeah.
So
That is
I
tough to implement it throughout, the whole world, but to help people
yeah.
not feel the need. So just about the pressure, right? That it seems like, and
Hmm.
you hear of stories where, in suicide and all those things because someone didn't like someone or some certain pictures were shown, and it's just unfortunate. Just if there was a way to get people to separate themselves from the need of whatever it is, that shallow satisfaction they're getting from those likes and follows. And I think by what you're doing and what you said is by having your own business on there, you realize it's not a personal thing. It's you have something there that you can work on, and then you can step away. I think it's great, Nikita. Do you have a plan for after high school so far? Is what is it you're in honors high school? I don't think you're going to just quit after that.
Um, Definitely not. But in terms of what I want to do, that's something that's like been like working around. I don't know what I want to do because I have so many scattered interests per
Mhm.
se. I
Mhm.
have the interest of like here's my company, look at all this, and like that's definitely one way to pursue and try to do it full time.
Yeah.
There's definitely the idea of going to college and trying to do some more I don't want to say more concrete because that's not the right way to say it, but
Yeah.
some more technical or something like that kind of
Mhm.
job, something. Or there's the idea of me personally, I really like performing and stuff like that. So I could always have the opportunity to like maybe I want to pursue something like that. So for me, I'm very scattered.
Mhm.
So I think what's going to happen is that I personally want to go to college just in case
Yeah.
anything. Like, so I think my best thing is I'm going to try to send out as many applications to as many places and weigh my choices once stuff comes back to me.
Okay. Do you have a few high, your top three of places, or not even that? What program would you like to take? Are you still looking at the arts? Or are you looking more at business?
I'm still looking, but I don't know because again I have so many just like completely scattered like things. Like I want to sometimes like I wake up wanting to go into politics, the next day I wake up wanting to be a software engineer, and
Mm-hmm.
you kind of can't do both at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not the easiest thing to do both at the same time. I mean, maybe there's a world that you can, but
Well, it's interesting because I watched Shark Tank and I respected, I don't know if it was Mark Cuban or not, but there was a young child, young kid, young man, maybe girl, and there was a few of them that did it. They were really good, or they had a really good product, and they had a small little business, but they didn't invest in them because they wanted them to go to university first, right? Because they were so young and they didn't want them to make this product, this thing, their only thing. And then, years down the road or whatever, however well their business would do, is they could sell out, but then sell it off, but at the end they would still be without that degree. And and I think you hit on it too. It's not the concrete thing to do, and I think that's what you're saying. It's not for everyone, but if you have that ability to do so while
mhm.
maintaining your company on the side, or letting it fall off the wayside, but venturing into something else, I think it's good. And that's what I respected about Shark Tank, and those people there, where they allowed the kids to continue to grow, to see past this great idea that they had, because even great ideas, the light of it stopped shining eventually.
I mean, like, I know personally that 360 creativity is going to remain a constant, whether I pursue
Well,
to do it full time or
Nikita,
not.
let's talk about 360 creativity.
Okay.
Let's talk about that now. So what is it you do each day, and what about your company that you would like people to know?
Um, well, for one, I'll kind of just move away. So this in the background is kind of our logo and kind of our main symbol that
Slogan
we,
creativity is in everyone, yes.
yeah. And so we have the idea of inspiring people to be creative and inspiring social change. Those are our two kind of, if you were to summarize what we do,
And
these are our top points of what we want to do.
who is we?
Um, Me, we have a person working for helping out with like social media management,
Yep.
and we have a few people that we have a few people like freelancers that help out with our website because
Yes.
I know how to code, but not I can't do everything
Hmm.
with it. And well, that's basically the immediate people that I work with. I
Is
work
your
with
brother not in that as well?
My brother is in for, yeah, I completely forgot to mention, we have three people doing design work, like drawing stuff and all of that.
So what is the process of you have supplies and apparel? Is
So
that not
we have art supplies and apparel, those are our two main things. And the art supplies are kind of in the section of inspiring creativity. They
mm-hmm.
go to, like, if you have a set of art supplies, that's going to inspire you to start drawing, to start making something. And the other big thing is our apparel section. And we have parts of our store that go to, and we work with different nonprofits, and part of the proceeds go to these nonprofits. Like we work with uh, quite a lot. I know the biggest one that we've worked with, it's not on our site right now, but in preparation for election day, we worked with vote.org.
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest nonpartisan voting registration like nonprofit out there. So,
Where did you come up with this idea, or how did it come into fruition?
oh well, living in New York City, we see a lot of these murals and stuff like that. And I know that if this mural, whether it's something good or something bad, can inspire people to rally behind it, like you see these murals of like politicians and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, here's this politician, or you see this mural like a tiger, and it's like, oh, I really like this mural of a tiger. If it inspires someone to share it, if it inspires something if it inspires someone to kind of support a cause or learn more about a cause or something like that, then why can't you create it in a more touchable sense, like a shirt or a brush or a canvas or something like that?
What does your parents, Nikita, think of what you and your brother is probably doing? You might have your hands in it more than your brother does, but what does your parents think of this whole adventure? Which it's only been a few months, but it's still a
Mhm.
great adventure nonetheless.
Well, my parents really support it. I mean, my dad he has created his own company in terms of shipping and logistics. He works in the Navy, but he does shipping all across the world, and he ships these big containers of stuff.
Yeah.
So he created his own company who does it. So that is like they're behind doing that. Um, I think that they personally want me to get more of a college education, but they're not opposed to
Yeah.
me pursuing this full time because
Yeah.
they know that I could figure out how to do it full time. It's not like I'm going to be struggling.
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, there's teenagers find themselves in different phases in life, and this phase, just on the surface with your company, is a pretty good phase to be in compared to the many other phases that some people venture down into. So I could only imagine that your parents are, optimistically cautious, just like, yeah, you can do it. We have we hope it works out for you, but also college is an opportunity for you in the future as well. And I'm sure that they're proud of you as long as you're able to continue to keep your head on straight. right? And not, I mean,
Yeah.
to be the CEO of 360 Creativity is a pretty big title for a 16-year-old, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. But I know that they have my back and they'll continue to support me and all of that. So,
So what does your day look like, Nikita? I What does a typical day look like, even considering school and homework and all of that? So, if in a peak day of doing some of your 360 work, contacting some of your employees and those people that work for you or collaborate with you, and school and some play, what does a day look like for you?
well, I know that I wake up around 7 a.m. every morning,
Hmm.
and by 8 a.m. I have to be in school, like online in school, till about around 11:30. So I have a pretty short school day,
Yep.
even though we do quite a lot of stuff in the school day. Um, and during that, I mean, we have some breaks, like 5, 10 minutes. So if I get the chance, I'll go and I'll write a quick text message to our social media manager and like ask her what she's been up to and if she has like done her like if she has posted her posts and all of that for the day, for the morning because we try to do 2 times a day.
Yep.
After school I usually have a little break, do some lunch, and I get to work on doing most of the 360 creativity stuff. So, kind of the first thing and major thing I do is check up on my brother and see that he's doing all the different designs and stuff like that because we have a constantly changing store. Except for some things that are in all around, we just finished our Halloween. We went straight into Election Day and Thanksgiving. Once we finished our Election Day and Thanksgiving stuff, we went straight into the holiday season and all of that. So we're moving pretty quickly. Um, Doing all that. The next thing is I go and I check my email because I know that I have someone that helps out kind of monitor emails and
Hmm.
make sure that it's not overflowing or anything. It's not anything urgent. But if I get an email that I need to respond to, I would get it forwarded to my personal email, and I would like I see, oh, I got a personal email from forwarded from 360 Creativity, so I'll hop onto there and check it out and talk to them. Um, Most of the day between like 2 and 4 is spent doing phone calls and different meetings because I mean we talk to some pretty big companies and some pretty big nonprofits and stuff like that, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it as correctly as I can. So I rather do 5 meetings with this company even though they didn't need a single one than not doing a single one and doing something wrong. So I rather waste more of my time trying to
Yep.
figure out what they want me to do exactly than do it wrong and get it messed up, because I mean these things are public things and I want to show off the best side of myself and my company through my work. I don't want to give anything off that's not the best. So like I know our biggest thing recently was with vote.org, and
Hmm.
I would go to them and I would send them emails of our designs, and then I would go on meetings, and then like they're like, oh, it doesn't fit with our color scheme because they have a very specific color scheme that their brand complies to. So
Yes.
we change it up and stuff like that. So I really don't need any meetings to do it, but I feel like it's so much better to do it with meetings because I personally don't want to mess anything up. And these brands are not necessarily like open to having all these meetings and stuff like that. But I know that I contact this one person in this company is probably likely to come and help me out, and we could talk and stuff like that because it's good for them as well. It's a mutual benefit. They're getting more exposure and they're getting some money, and I'm getting more exposure from their partnership ship, and I'm kind of like developing more of my brand and its personality. If I didn't have all these companies behind me and these nonprofits that we work with, it would be really hard to kind of inspire our message of social change without showing that you do any social change. I think that like the biggest thing of you doing social change is actually kind of going out and doing it. So it's like the very first day that our company launched, I contacted some local people in New York, this local nonprofit, and with all the profit that we made that day, we bought this homeless shelter bagels for the next week. So it's like it's a pretty amazing thing
Yep.
that you could do that off of like basically nothing. And it shows the people that follow you and the people that listen to you that, like, oh, you're out there and you're actually doing it. So if you guys can do it, maybe I can do it. If this big, if not even big because we aren't big, but if this, I think people see companies as bigger than just individual people. So it's like, if this group or this company could do it, then I definitely can.
Nikita, I'm still wondering about your day, but just off an aside, how is it you're getting the gumption to ask these individual people within the companies? And are you nervous? Are you, is it a hard thing to do? Do you find that it's getting easier?
It was much harder, especially at the very beginning when because we started talking to these people before we had anything, and like you
Hmm.
don't know if you're gonna like completely fail. So it's like, what are you offering them? Because these partnerships kind of like, you have to offer them something in return. You can't just be like we're gonna take this. And if they see that it's not worth it for them, then they're just gonna be like, no, we don't want to do it because they have better stuff to do. We're a small company, they're much bigger than us, so you kind of want to offer as much as you can to them. So it's been getting a lot easier contacting them and talking to them, especially when you have like, oh, look at this, we've partnered with these people, we partnered with these people, look at all the people that are behind this.
Yeah.
If they could get behind this, then you could definitely get behind this as well.
So after 4 o'clock, what does your day look like?
So after 4 o'clock, depending on the day, I
Hmm.
do some chess lessons because I feel that it's something very interesting and I like to do it. And I play quite a lot of chess in my
Hmm.
free time. So that is kind of, I try to do them on Thursdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, for an hour, I sit down and I learn chess and practice like theory and different
Hmm.
things like that. And then after about 5 p.m., I'm kind of free for the day. I don't
Good.
like, if I have anything homework related or anything like that, I try to finish it up then. And then 6 p.m., it kind of gets a madhouse in our house where everyone is home and it's kind of like, it's no longer your time, it's everyone's time. So it's like you want to kind of clear out your day as much as you can before then, because after 6 p.m., it kind of gets a little crazy.
Nikita, as I assumed, I mean, as I thought when I first, just reading about you, like you seem to have things lined up really well, and it's very impressive. So, what time are you going to bed? Is this very late? I mean, you're getting up at 7, so are you
I
getting
mean, I try to go to bed as early as I can. I'm these
which is
past couple weeks, not the best, but I think my early is around like 9 p.m. I try to be in bed
okay?
because it's
Yeah.
it's pretty early, but I know
No,
that
no.
like
I'm going to bed at 9:30. I fell asleep last night
I'm
reading my kids a book at I think it was 9 o'clock. So that's
I
good
mean,
for
like
me.
yesterday I spent like much later. I was up till 11,
Hmm.
and like some days I go off a little bit more. But I mean, 9 p.m. is usually my baseline
Yeah,
because I feel like if I need to get up earlier, if I go to sleep at 9, then I could get up earlier. But if I go to sleep later, I might not be able. Like 7 is like the latest I could get up because I need to like eat breakfast and do all
get
this
ready
stuff
for
before
school. Yeah.
school.
But you
Yeah,
could get up
and just in
earlier
general.
if you go to
Yeah,
bed earlier, you're probably more able to get up a little bit earlier.
yeah. Because I know, like, a few weeks ago, because we don't have a company phone, so if I ever need anyone to call me, I have them call my personal cell phone,
Hmm.
which in retrospect doesn't sound like the smartest thing to do,
Hmm. Hmm.
but um, and like I was talking to this guy and I get a call at 3 a.m. in the morning, and it's like I'm not prepared to be talking about this at 3 a.m. in the morning, but I accidentally actually left my phone on my desk instead of
Hmm.
leaving it. I usually leave it like downstairs because
Hmm. Very
I don't like
wise.
it really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it next to me, but I left it on my desk accidentally, and it just happened to be right time. And it was this guy from LA that I was talking to previously to do a little collaboration and stuff like that. And I mean, personally, I think it's not going to go anywhere, but he called me, and because I went to sleep at 9, I was able to, even though it was for
Mhm.
15 minutes, I was
Mhm.
able to get up and have this conversation. If I went to sleep later, I probably would have missed that conversation completely. And not that not that it wasn't that it is an important conversation now, but looking back at looking at the time, I probably viewed it as a very important conversation. This was
Mhm.
like 2 weeks ago, but I can't
Yeah.
even remember. Uh, but I probably viewed it as an important conversation. It's not every day someone calls me at 3 a.m. in the morning. So
Yeah, you don't want that to be a habit. Nikita, just thinking through the day that you just went through, are you finding you have generally some pressure about your job or the things that you want to do? Or do you find that, you have it pretty balanced out and you're just, a regular teenager going through the things that you so choose to have in your schedule?
I think it's a mix. Like right now, I think it's fine. But once we like a few weeks ago, if this conversation was happening probably last week, I would have had a very different answer because we were in the process of wrapping up our Thanksgiving stuff,
Hmm.
starting on our holiday stuff, and working with all these different companies and managing like, oh, here's our designs, and I want to make it look as best as I can, and then it's like, oh, like our suppliers like can't ship out these orders
Hmm.
before this date because it's not gonna arrive. So it's like it's a stress that comes around like certain times of the month and certain times of the year. But overall, I think that it's been pretty fine. The month of like November is kind of hard because we just finished Halloween, and then we this year especially we go into our like election day season, and so we had like a little outcrop in the beginning of the month, and then Thanksgiving's right after that, and then the holidays are right after that. So it's like November was pretty jam packed, but like right now I'm just like I'm looking for more work to do.
It's amazing. Where is the majority of your sales falling? Is it more on the apparel or more on the art supplies?
More on the apparel, but I
Very
think
good.
that's just because something like apparel is more how can I say it? Like evident or something like
Mhm,
that.
mhm, mhm.
I don't even know the right word because it's like
Tangible?
tangible. Yeah, yeah. More people need a shirt than
Mhm.
need a
Yeah.
paintbrush.
More
So
practical, yeah.
naturally, yeah, naturally, I was expecting it to be higher. It
Mhm.
wasn't like something, oh my God, I didn't realize that it would have been higher. But I mean, it's not a small amount of people buying our art supplies and stuff like that either. So,
Well, I know, like, merchandise can go well, and I have it right here looking at my other screen. Some of the shirts, the shirts look comfortable, the t-shirts look comfortable, they look like nice, good quality. And then you guys have some humor in some of the things that you're doing too. It's not just particular fashion. I mean, and it's not that it's not fashionable, but you're adding your own sense, maybe with your brother and other collaborators, your own style to this merchandise. Is there a reasoning? Do you guys have a method behind what you're doing?
yes, these kind of stuff are not really intended to go to someone who is 80 years old. I'm not saying that it can't be given to them because it's
Hmm.
open to anyone. I mean,
Well,
sure,
not that. You guys have some nice cups, right? Some
yeah, we
coffee
have
mugs
some.
and tea mugs, whatever you want to drink, some cocoa. So those sorts of things
Yeah, we
are.
have quite a lot of stuff, but I think personally that like it's more intended for younger generations because these things that we're kind of promoting in like in our especially in our social causes tab are stuff that it's like if you're 80 years old climate change is important but it's not going to be what's affecting you.
Mhm.
You're not it's not going to be like the thing that you're going to be. You could go to your deathbed and you could be like, oh, I didn't do that much to support like fighting for like more climate rights or stuff like that. But um I think the majority of people in older generations aren't as much concerned about these types of things just because it doesn't affect them. When something doesn't affect you, it's kind of really easy to have it go off to the side and like not a big priority. So I always viewed it as it's something for younger generations. So I mean, like, there's definitely things that, like, for everyone, we partnered with a company called Gamers Outreach, and yeah,
Mm,
they mainly support kids through gaming through in hospitals and stuff like that. But they also do support older patients. But I think that, like, if you're buying one of our gamer shirts, you're probably not going to be an 80-year-old grandma.
yeah. Certainly. No, you do
Personally,
have
I don't
some
know.
very nice, and I recommend, and you'll tell me the website in a little bit, but for people to go to the website to check out some of the merchandise and to buy it. I mean, it's especially now, you mentioned that Christmas season is coming, which is obvious, but you guys are ramping up some of those sorts of products for Christmas, but
Yeah.
a lot of the products are not seasonal, restricted to a season. They're just everyday
Oh,
clothing that you can wear with good designs. What is some satisfaction that you get just the last 3 months and being so young in the business? What is some satisfaction you're able to get out of what you're doing?
I mean, I think the biggest thing was on probably our second, yeah, around our second week of opening up the business. Like I said, on our first week, we kind of used the sales from our first 2, 3 days to buy
Hmm.
bagels for
Yeah.
this local nonprofit. And I get a phone call from the guy that I was talking to do the food, because and it's like a big nonprofit and they do like food stuff, and they have a specific person organizing it. And he calls me and he's like, we gave out enough bagels for everyone on the line, and we still have some more left over for tomorrow.
Mm,
And I think that is the most direct impact that I see. Because I mean, I know that like we're giving money to Oceana and all of that, but I don't see their impact every day. I don't live near where they're working. I don't like I can't walk to their headquarters and go talk to them.
yeah.
But something like Project Hospitality, I know throughout the years, like they didn't do it this year, but they did do it this year, but without volunteers. But they do like a Thanksgiving like festival and feast for homeless people and people that just don't have enough food to have a Thanksgiving dinner. So I know personally, I've went to them and volunteered with them before, and I see the impact of what we do, and I think that's really inspirational. It's like, yeah, we sell these like, oh, amazing, like funny Christmas stuff, but if you look more, and if you look even at our Thanksgiving stuff, our Thanksgiving collection was all supporting Habitat for Humanity, a worldwide organization that works to stop homelessness, make sure no one goes hungry. And I don't see these impacts firsthand because I'm privileged not to be experiencing these problems.
Hmm.
Uh, so I don't possibly know what it would be like if this organization went to me and talked to me and helped me, or said that through 360 creativity, you've been given food today. You could eat for another day, or in like with our gamer outreach through 360 creativity, you've been given the opportunity to remain happy even though you have something like cancer, which is like you might not like you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The
Hmm.
gamer outreach supports children that are in hospitals, those like combating the worst things out of
Hmm. Hmm.
like the worst thing that could possibly be. And I had the privilege of being on a Zoom call with one of the people that, because they try to like work with one patient at a, not one patient at a time, but they try to like this organization helps support this patient and this organization helps support this patient. And I've talked to the person that is receiving the money from our shirts, and I can't say I know what they feel like, what it's going through, but I know
Hmm.
that what we are doing is definitely inspiring them to continue being happy and like continue like trying to be the best that they could be and happy as they could be, even though they're going through something that no person should experience.
I think you have a good business model going here with helping with nonprofits, but I think it shows by just your answer of satisfaction that you get that you have an actual heart to help these people. And I think that's because a lot of businesses say, okay, we got to help this, or even people individually, we got to help this because it looks good, but you're also acknowledging it because it's the right thing to do.
It's definitely the right thing to do. I mean, like, just because you're not going through these problems doesn't mean these problems don't exist. These problems are here whether you see them or you don't see them. And you might be lucky to live in a place that you don't see these problems, or you might be lucky to not even that you live in a place that you don't see these problems, but that you are so far progressed beyond these problems that they like you could see it on the street and think that it's like I don't know. I
No.
don't even know what to. You
What,
could just like
Nikita? No, it's good. I mean, if you don't know it, some people just turn a blind eye to it, but it's a good habit to get into, and I think you're showing it. I mean, especially at a young age, and you're starting a company, and you're able to recognize this, and then it's only going to be a habit for you all through your career. What is some stuff maybe people don't understand about the work you're doing that you would like them to understand, or about you in particular that people don't understand, that if you gave them this little nugget, then they would have a better appreciation of you, Nikita?
hmm, it's a good question. Uh, I think that many people don't understand the idea behind 360 creativity,
Okay.
and that's kind of, um, and it's not even the point of like the non-profits and like that you're giving money to these people, but to these people in these places. But I know another big thing is like, oh, you're working with Earth Justice, a team of lawyers that help protect, basically like fight in court battles, protecting like environmental laws and implementing more environmental laws. But you run a t-shirt business that produces t-shirts that are probably the biggest pollutant on the planet, and it sounds kind of oxymoronic. It's like, oh, you're supporting them, but like you're doing this. But something that many people don't understand, and we've been trying to showcase this as much as we can through our work, is that we don't do that. We recently wrote a blog post kind of explaining everything that what we how we produce these shirts and pants and cups and all of that is we produce them in a way that is sustainable and in a
Mm-hmm.
way that um, they're printed individually, so they're not being stored anywhere, where
Mm-hmm.
they're printed in methods that support the earth, and we're trying to go net neutral, which means just not produce any CO2 or anything like that in the next year. And I think it's definitely something that we could do, since right now I think we're at uh, 5%
Mm-hmm.
carbon emissions, which is kind of really low considering um, it's a pretty big company.
Would you
And
say,
we
Nikita, not to totally interrupt you, but the idea, because there's a push, I mean, you mentioned politics, you mentioned a few things which I think are great for your age, and they're even over my head. So the idea of being totally 100% environmentally friendly versus being environmentally responsible, where are you falling on that spectrum? Which, I mean, you're doing your best to get your emissions down and all that, but practically speaking, we could have a t-shirt made out of paper that is biodegradable, but practically that's not going to work for a t-shirt. So where are you finding yourself in the reality of, especially owning and operating, finding, being the founder of a business that wants to make money and wants to make a profit? So it's, I think, just by my question you can tell that I think being responsible is good. To be mandated to be 100%, environmentally friendly is unlikely, just by the nature of making products.
it's you're right, and that's kind of where I was like alluding to the fact that it's impossible to actually um, to do it. It's almost impossible to do it. But if you could reduce all your carbon emissions and not be emitting any carbon, if you could make it produce your product with as least packaging as you
Hmm.
can,
Hmm.
obviously you're not going to put a shirt and you're not going to have a packaging, you're not going to have a shipping label and give it to your customer. That's not how
Hmm.
it works. You
Hmm.
need a box and stuff like that. But we try to make it
Yeah.
as we try to make our boxes specifically out of biodegradable material and stuff like that, that we It's really hard, but when you
Mhm.
try, there's a lot of different alternatives. And
Yep.
yes, they won't save you money. So if you're going to trying to save money or trying to make as much profit as you can, they're definitely not the way to go because there's much cheaper alternatives to it.
Mhm.
But that doesn't matter because if you're showing someone that it's like you're trying to do one thing and you're doing the complete opposite, that's not a good way to be shown. And even if nobody knows about it, it kind of puts on like a thing of your own, it kind of like self-guilt of like I've
Mhm.
been lying to all these people about what
Mhm.
I do. And it's
Mhm.
like that's not
Well,
great. You want to be showing.
some people sear their consciousness, so they don't really think of it. I mean, they may know it, but they don't care. But I think what you have a tender conscience in knowing the impact that you can have on people by your profits, your nonprofits that you're giving to. You're giving your profits to the nonprofits, and by having at the forefront of your mind to be as environmentally friendly as possible, I think it speaks volumes of you. Nikita, how are you staying productive? I mean, you're a busy young man and you have a lot, and you even said I could do some more. So how are you staying productive? What's driving you?
Um, so what's driving me and what's making me stay productive are kind of two separate things.
Yeah.
So I'll tackle one at a time. So what's having me stay productive is organizing, a lot of organizing. If you don't organize anything, then you can't be productive because even though you might waste 5 minutes trying to
Where are
figure
you
out how to
getting the
organize,
idea of organizing yourself? You don't just wake up one day. I know that a lot of people would say things are just random, but things are pretty organized in this world. So you didn't wake up one day and just say, "Oh, organization is good." Where are you getting that? Is that like a mom, your dad, your grandfather? Like where is this coming from? The idea of being organized, or in school?
well, I know a lot of my family likes being organized, and that's kind of like
With
their thing.
four
So they
boys,
like
is
being organized.
it?
Yeah,
You need to
it's
try.
definitely something. Yeah, so it's not the easiest thing
No,
to be
and
organized, but it's
still,
definitely
yeah.
something that you should try. And I know that I am really bad at organizing, but even taking the like if I have a schedule up, if I have something
Mhm,
like like a work like things I need to do, even though I might never use it or might never
mhm,
cross it off, which happens a lot of the time, or might
mhm,
never like adjust it or edit it as my day goes on, at least I have it there and it makes me feel like I'm being organized. And even this like placebo effect of me feeling organized makes me work more productively. And I don't know about it with all people, but I mean,
yeah,
me just having a schedule up, even though I might not edit the schedule forever, it makes me feel like I'm being more organized and therefore making me more productive.
mhm, absolutely.
So, and then the next thing was
Motivation, yeah.
yeah, motivation for it. And again, I don't want to repeat myself over and over, but I'll kind of give it the short run now. But again, it's just seeing these people and talking to these people and seeing that what I am doing is helping them. And I think that's very motivational. And yeah, it might not turn out to be the best and most sustainable way to run a business, but I mean, if you're not running it if you're not doing something good by running it, then what's the point of running it? I feel personally. I mean, people are going to say other things, but
It,
personally, I feel that if you're not doing something good, then what's the point of doing it?
with your organizational skills and seeing you're on a computer, what is a tool that you use that keeps you efficient or most efficient and helps you do your tasks each day?
Um,
What
you've
can you
probably
describe?
seen ads for it everywhere, and I've kind of fallen into their advertising scheme. But Asana, it's a tool, and
Asana?
yeah,
How do you
A
spell that?
C ACANA.
Okay, and what is
And
that?
it's a planning tool for like teams and stuff like that. Um, and kind of what they do is it's a team-based work management software, and you could make like calendars and graphs and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I use it with some like my brother and stuff like that, and we kind of just organize as much things as we like know about onto there. So it's like everyone knows that I have a meeting at this time at this date, so I don't miss it. And then everyone knows that our deadlines for having holiday designs in is this day, and if they're not turned in this day, then like like that's bad because they need to for the next person to upload them and have everything ready for our site for the next day for our social media team to post it. It's like it's a chain. If one person doesn't do it, and the next person doesn't do it, and something like Asana is really good because they send you constant emails telling
Hmm.
you it's like you aren't doing it or that's great you're doing it, and it's I think it's a really easy tool. I mean, we started off using like Monday.com, and that's
Yes.
another big one. They also have a pretty big marketing thing. Personally, I didn't really like it. So, I mean, the best part about doing things like this is that they're super easy to transition to back and forth. So it's like you unsubscribe yourself from their mailing list, you move on to the next one. And I think it's working out for us.
Nikita, thinking of my listeners and thinking of yourself getting into magic at the age of 10, right? Doing some science presentations later on and then starting your own company now at 16, but also even people who are older. Maybe you've experienced that with some relatives or people that your family knows of changing careers or getting into work. Do you have some advice for people as they start their careers or change into something else?
I think the best thing is um, kind of continue finding something that motivates you and continuing to follow on that path and continue having something behind you that motivates you. It might be something small, or it might be something big. It doesn't really matter. But as long as you have something that motivates you, I think that's a really good starting point to launch and like anything to start on any journey. If you don't have motivation to start it, then why start it? I think the best other thing is having a group of people behind you, having someone to help you along, having someone to um, be with you or something like that. So I think those are the two kind of biggest things if you want to start anything, whether it be something big or something small. You always want to have motivation and someone behind you, someone to work with, someone you know that can help you.
Nikita, you mentioned chess. And I know you mentioned you
Mhm.
have a big family with brothers. How do you keep your, and you mentioned after what, 6 or 7 o'clock, it's more family time. How do you keep those your work, whether it's school work or your job, separate from playtime or enjoying time? How are you able to turn it off? I mean, you even mentioned answering the phone at 3 a.m. So how are you disciplining yourself even at this age to say, okay, I need to enjoy myself and not think about my company or take a break from school?
I mean, it's much easier said than done, personally. Like I know, like you could turn off your phone and do stuff like that, but it's like you're always gonna fall back into the habit of going back and checking at it, looking at your emails or whatever, because it becomes these systems are made to be addictive. But um, what I like to do is if you put them far away, they're kind of like if you don't see it, if you don't
Out of
like
sight, out of mind.
yeah, basically, except that it's still always in your mind. It's just that like it's not gonna be at a point where like I could reach out my hand, I could reach out my hand and grab it.
Hmm.
So that's like if I can't reach out my hand and grab it, and I need to walk somewhere and grab it, or like do something more, I have to like
Do you like to play? Do you like to go out and play a sport or go play with friends or what are some other things you like to do?
more like to be with friends in terms of sports, not really kind of my thing.
Yep.
So I don't really like to do
Go
stuff
for
like that.
walks or anything?
But yeah, sometimes. I mean, we're not far from like a beach and a bunch of parks and stuff like
Hmm.
that, so definitely going on walks. But I like being outside, like, but not really doing sports and things like that. That's not my style.
Knowing your time frame is short, there's not many mistakes you would have made in a career, but is there a mistake that you might have made or something you wish you would have known, even from this short of time, that it would have helped you a little bit more, or if you would have not made that mistake, you would have been a little bit better off? Is there a lesson that you would have learned from one of those?
I think probably like the most important thing that I've learned is to kind of not it's gonna sound kind of weird, but not reveal all of your cards or something.
Mm-hmm.
Not reveal all of your cards too early. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in like a lot of like talks of a lot of different organizations and stuff like that, that um you as a person that comes to them, since many of the people are people that I come to personally,
Mm-hmm.
I always start off with a like disadvantage because I'm coming to you. If I'm coming to you, that means I'm already looking for
Yep.
something.
Very
So, um,
insightful. Yep.
but you keeping as much like you trying to offer, it's gonna sound weird, but you trying to offer as little as you can in the beginning and working your way up is
Mm-hmm.
always the best way to go than giving everything out at once and hoping that that is enough. So
You
it's kind
must
of
be
like the
tough
biggest
on
thing
your
is like
parents.
kind of
Mom, can I have $5? Oh, how about $10? How about 50?
well that like with something like that, that would probably go in reverse. You would try to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
for the biggest and work
Oh,
your way
yeah.
down. But something like in negotiation, you could be like, oh, like we could offer you this, and it's like okay, instead of saying we could offer you this, this, and this, if they
Yeah.
agree to just this one point, that's better for you. Not that it's not that you're being greedy or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, but it it makes more sense if you negotiate with something that like something lesser than starting with something big.
Yeah.
And I know at the beginning it's like kind of the first thing is like you throw all your cards at them. And it's like it's not the best way to do it because it's
Mm,
like if they say we want something more, what are you gonna give them? But if you slowly work your way up, and even if you're
yeah.
offering them the same amount of stuff,
Yeah.
it feels so much different. It's kind of like the idea of like your brain's playing tricks on you. It feels so much different when you're like working your way up and you get a good deal. Or this person could just like you could start off at a good deal and keep that good deal. It's like the same thing's happening, but you feel like the person feels like they're getting a better deal like the way of like working their way up to the deal
Yeah.
instead of like
It's
giving the deal at the
business.
very
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, it's business. Nikita, and I think you've shown it through this interview, but can you comment, especially being at the beginning of a career, is the difference between character and career? Some people tend to strive for a career and not really care much about the character that they bring with it. While other people, which seems like you're starting off on the right foot, is putting your character first and then going after your career, as you always have in the forefront of your mind what you should do that is right for the people that are involved.
I think personally, I know it's not going to be the answer for everyone, but I think personally your character is going to be better because you're going to be and be you might not get as successful, but you'll know that you were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like I know the example that I like to bring up is something like the Lorax. It's like I don't know if you know the story of the Lorax, but
Dr. Seuss, you mean?
Dr. Seuss, yeah. Dr. Seuss is the Lorax.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the idea is there's this businessman and he has this idea of um, selling this like thing that grows on the trees and like making
Mm-hmm.
a product out of it. And he builds up his company to such a big point that he doesn't have any more of these trees left and he just
Mm-hmm.
like ruins the whole forest and all of that. And it's kind of absurd that you think about it, but you look at these like companies and stuff like that that are kind of putting off the same thing as like
Mm-hmm.
it seems so comical when someone like Dr. Seuss wrote it, but
Mm-hmm.
you look at it and like there are companies out there that are destroying like the rainforest and stuff like that. It's like you might not see it firsthand, but it's definitely something that's happening. Again, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Well, a lot of
So
those chemical companies are also destroying people with their medicine as
yeah,
well, right? Some addictive medicine that they're thinking only
yeah.
profits, not about the person.
That's actually we work for a nonprofit called Earth Justice that their whole thing is like they're a group of lawyers like by nature and they like try to do these cases that like against the chemical factories for dumping this stuff not because it only hurt not because it hurts not only because it hurts humans but like the environment as well and they protect like rainforests and stuff like that. But I think character is so much more important because again you could be as successful as you want but people are going to know that you didn't do it through the right means and it's not the best foot to show when you're walking in people know that like you've done all these horror it's like that's not a good sign to show. It's like you rather show that like, oh, I might not be as successful, I might not be as great, but at least I've been like showing like at least I'm a
Yeah,
good person. At least I've been
as
showing some good character traits and stuff
you
like that.
mentioned, and putting your head down at night saying that you did the right thing, and that is more important than having your career before your character. A couple more questions, Nikita. Thinking of people, and especially you're in a state that's been hit hard by COVID, uh, the world and pandemic, and just people that may be discouraged, not sure where to go, where to turn in terms of work. Do you have any words of encouragement for them? I mean, you have a great perspective, and you're in a unique time, and I guess everyone is, but you're at a point at being 16, and the world is your oyster, and you have so much ahead of you. You'd have some insight, I think, into some words of encouragement for people, no matter what age they are.
I mean, uh, kind of the biggest thing is just looking for opportunity. I mean, you might not get accepted to everything that you're trying to do. You might you might be turned down for something, but if you just keep putting yourself out, then you're gonna get something in return. Uh, base, it's true in this case, not true in every case, but it's like here, any publicity is good publicity. Whether you get accepted to your job or not, it's still good that like someone at that job is gonna recognize you, and
Hmm.
then who knows, maybe once you're president of the United States or whatever, or maybe they'll be like, yeah, I might have turned them down. That might have been the wrong thing then.
Hmm.
But it's like I could recognize that this person's a hard worker because they started off with me, and if they manage to do what they could do, then that's great. Then it means that I might have made the wrong decision by not hiring them, or something like that. So I think the best I think is just put yourself out there. Not even like not working is also like just knowing a lot of people is great, whether it's like for personal purposes or for like more of a business purpose. Just knowing a lot of people is never bad. I mean,
Hmm.
that's kind of the
Networking, yeah.
biggest thing. Just look for opportunities and seize those opportunities.
Yeah. And even if you don't get something out of the thing you try with, you're getting experience. And what I find
Yeah,
sometimes with trying for jobs or working in jobs, and in the end, if it doesn't work, it might be something you realize you just don't want to do, but at least you went down that path and you're able to close that off. I think that's some pretty good words of encouragement to keep on going. Nikita, how can people reach you?
Um, well, you could reach me multiple ways. You can reach me through our various social media platforms. So we have our Instagram platform that you could reach us at. It's 360 underscore creativity 360. So it's kind of a loop. We have our Facebook page. You could just search 360 creativity on Facebook. You could reach us there. We have our Twitter page. So that's 360 Creative Art, and that's our Twitter handle. And you could just reach us by searching up 360 Creativity. That's also a way you could reach us on most places. We also have our website that you could check us out. You could purchase our products, and you could donate and help out with all the things that we do. And that's just at 360creativity.art. So that's kind of the places that you could reach the business. If you have any like questions or anything like that, then you guys could definitely email us. We're contact at 360creativity.art. So it's pretty easy to reach us because our website is part of our email. So it's not hard. It's all connected. So that's
Nikita,
basically all the places you could reach us at.
Nikita, I have one final question for you, and that is, why do you work?
Again, I don't want to sound repetitive because it's not the best thing, but just seeing the people that you inspire and that you help and that you like touch and that you like just talk to, and it's like that really inspires me to continue working and trying to do what I want to do, whether I'm successful in it or not. Just meeting the people that I meet along the way, that's always great. Then kind of inspiring the people that I might not ever get to meet, but I know that what I had done has helped them. That's that's kind of the main reason that why I work.
Nikita Chernin, founder, CEO of 360 Creativity. Young man, you are an inspiration, and I hope you all the best in your work at 360 Creativity and anything else that you venture to do.
Thank you so much.